Hello, everybody. How's you all doing today? I hope you're having a fantastic and great day. So on the show, we have actually a couple, two doctors, and they specifically are going to tell me, simple single Josh, how to have a healthy, long, and even they said it, spicy and sexy relationship in your 70s. And I'm poor little hamster in my head is struggling to keep up with them because they explain some quantum theory involving relationship, which is quite interesting actually. But they also made a deal with me off air because they realized I didn't have any context to ask them, like, I'm struggling with this, what do I do, kind of thing. So they made a deal with me. If you all have any questions or struggling with something, and you contact me and send me your questions or statements, obviously within a timely manner, I will reach out to them and say, hey, I have 15 questions from 15 different people. Can you guys come back on and answer these questions? And they gladly said they would. So be sure to listen to the whole thing and then hit up your boy with questions. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
That's awesome. So, do you guys like salsa, or is it like this year you bought?
We're amateur ballroom dancers. We compete all around the country.
Ooh, better than me. I'm saying, I don't have the best hand-eye coordination when it comes to dancing.
You could take lessons. It's a great way to meet women.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to take note of that.
So I recommend young people to follow their interests, and they'll meet people who share common interests, and do things in groups that represent what you like doing.
Okay. That means I have to start doing group activities then.
Or just showing up, and you'll meet new people. It could further your work project as well. There's it's not a waste of time to network. And no, meanwhile, you're learning something new and potentially meeting a lovely woman.
Yes. Yeah. Most of my life, the reason I've learned to just be an outcast and a loner is long, tragic story. We don't have to get into it. Essentially, I was bullied most of my life and picked on for my weight and everything. So I got used to being alone. And that's where I picked up sports like martial arts and stuff like that, were more alone. I didn't have to deal with other people. But now it's kind of I need to start learning how to interact with people.
Yeah, it's time to expand your strategies and your opportunities.
So what did you two specifically specialize in for when you're getting your doctoral degree?
Well, I'm a longevity anti-aging doctor. So I've been a physician since 1974, but exclusively since 2003. That's what I do. And Dr. Barbara is a marriage counselor.
So I have a PhD in theology from the School of Theology at Claremont, and I also have a psychology degree. So I'm licensed as an individual marriage and family counselor.
That's an interesting combination you picked for degrees.
Yeah, I've been teaching meditation for 40 years, so it overlaps with Dr. Barbara's interests. And
it does.
So we have many common interests. And so now what we've done is that we combine our interests together. So we've written 2 books. One book we wrote 2 years ago, The Marriage Map, The Road to Transforming Your Marriage from Ordeal to Adventure. And the newest book is called Ageless Love, The Sexy Science of Falling in Love Forever. So we have 3 portions of that book. First section is all about the psychology of romance, how it works, what you have to know about it, understand about it.
Also the physics of love, how quantum mechanics teaches us about how to be in a relationship.
Ooh, that's interesting. We're definitely getting into that then.
Yeah, that's the first chapter, the first section. The second section is on longevity and how to keep passion and romantic excitement going on in your life, which is what I do as a longevity doctor. We use all kind of bioidentical hormones, stem cells, other kind of procedures to keep you young and youthful, no matter what your age. We're 72 and 71, and we're very intense into our ballroom dancing. So we practice what we preach.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third chapter is on the spirit. There's the mind, the body, and the spirit. The spirit, we talk a lot about meditation and learning to be in this calm, peaceful state. And that takes time to reset your body to get out of the intensity. And so we talk a lot about that in the third section.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I just like how she mentioned the quantum side of it. But from my studies, and I'm sure I don't have a PhD like you two, but it seems like science almost tries to prove that the soul doesn't exist, from what I can understand.
Well, that was the science of the 1900s.
Okay.
Of 2000 plus 21st century is totally the opposite. And so it's kind of interesting how that's happened over the years. Einstein began to shake everything up and saying that space and time were not constant. If you go to speed of light, time stops. And now we have all kinds of new understanding about how the universe came into being, that there was something there before time and space got established. And when you deal with something there before time and space got established, it's like, whoa, what could that be? And so you have to start looking at what's beyond time and space. Well, that sounds pretty religious,
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not teaching that in the schools. The school is still in the 1900s when you go to school. But the scientists are like, so many scientists become religious now. And in our book, we talk about particle and wave nature. So we know that all small particles like light, like a photon of light or an electron, could be a particle or a wave. And what determines whether it's a particle or wave is the consciousness of whoever is looking at it. You can change an electron from being a particle to a wave by looking at it. Now that's like, what?
Yeah, I was like, wait, I've never heard that one before.
We learned that in school. Consciousness can affect these physical particles, and it changes them from being a wave, unbounded, to focused and becoming a particle. And that's what happens in relationship. You can change the people in your life from being a wave where they're just feeling unbounded and lovely to getting angry, getting upset, and they and you both become particles.
Okay.
And you feel awful.
That means we're much more creative than we know. We have far more power in our lives than we have ever conceptualized.
That I agree with 100%. Like, I know a lot of people knock like the power law of attraction and like positive thinking, but I tell people, I'm like, our brain, as much as we like, oh, it's in our skull, I'm like, it's really just more of like a conductor. The real brain is the electricity going through it.
Well, it's not even the electricity. It's even more. It is the soul is what is there, and it's limited by the brain in terms of what it can do. And we have a left brain and a right brain. And now there's a whole new knowledge about left and right brain. Your right brain is very, very looking at the big picture. Your left brain is looking at little pieces like on the computer, trying to analyze the data. And most of us, unfortunately, particularly the young people, are so used to computers that they're focused on their one side of their left brain where they're
just over focused on particles.
Yeah, and their whole life is focused on particles, whereas they don't use the right brain to see the big picture. And it's a huge problem for.
It affects emotional development and ability to connect with someone and see the big picture of life, so that you can, move forward with a vision and purpose and feel satisfied by life.
Yeah. So that's a real important thing. And in order to do a relationship properly, you have to be in the big picture. You have to be in the big picture, because if you're just in a little picture, it's just overwhelming. And so part of what we teach is how to stay in the big picture. So in a relationship, if you're able to communicate with your partner, you're able to share with them and listen to them, that's a real critical skill. And we don't really learn that in school. We don't learn that in our lives. And until we do learn it, relationships become very, very difficult. It's easy to fall in love because you're in that big picture then. You just imagine this is the most wonderful person, but that doesn't last. Then you get into the details. You're together for a while, and it changes how you feel about your partner. And it's very, very important to have a skill of listening. So we teach secrets to falling in love forever. One of the big secrets is, if you're not listening without interrupting, then you're not really listening. So you got to really listen to your partner. You're not arguing with them. You're not trying to convince them that you're right and they're wrong. You're just simply listening to their big picture of how they see the world. It's different than your big picture, and listen to it. Don't get into the details of arguing and proving them wrong.
Interesting. Yeah, I was say kind of like this. I was waiting for you when you say interrupt. Of like, I wanted to interrupt and be like, wait, no, you're wrong. But no, it's very true. That's one of those things. Like for me, I just always listen. I always like talking too. So if I don't hear the whole story, it's kind of hard for me to keep communicating with people. I didn't realize that was the whole skill set people have forgotten, I guess.
Or never learned.
Or never learned. I like that term better.
It might be easier to listen to someone when you don't have an investment in the relationship. I think that's why people bond in the first place. But once you get connected and you're committed to each other, and you have to deal with money and children and personal goals, and your how you were raised and what's important to you, that comes up with commitment because you've been raised with a specific mom and dad, or you had relationships with your siblings in a certain way. It all comes crashing down into, and you have an opportunity to relook at all of that and resolve that and really develop a mature relationship.
So what are some of the steps you two have figured out on that note, on figuring those steps out?
Are you taping, by the way?
It is. I figured out a good point to cut it.
Okay, no problem. We're like every other couple. We fell in love, and then we got into real life, and we came up against the conflicts of what each of us wanted, and we fought a lot, like most couples, and it was something, we call it a power struggle, because I wanted what I wanted and Michael wanted what he wanted, and we had some really very special mentors along the way that helped us, understand each other and really respect the logic of each other's realities. And as close as we are, we both come from New York. We come from the same religion. We line up in all those areas, but we are very different. And a lot of what makes us different is one of us is a man and one of us is a woman. We were up against it, and gradually we heard each other, and we made decisions that connected our interests and desires with each other. And it took a while, but I'm very happy.
That's good.
So one of the things we talk about in our first book, and somewhat in the second book, is the movement that occurs over a lifetime, that you constantly move back every 5 years or 10 years from one phase to another. So one phase is being very close to the people around you, that you feel really connected. And then the next phase is you feel more independent from people. You want to be on your own. You want to have your own desires expressed. And you could look at it, this is what Dr. Barbara studied in her doctorate degree. And if you look at it, you start out being close with your mother, you're on the breast, sucking on the breast, and you're just very, very intimate with mother. You get to be 2, you say, no, I'm feeling separate. I want it my way. 2-year-olds are very, they want it their way and they don't like the rules. You get to be 5, 6, 7, and then you feel connected again. You love being part of the family. It's great. Get to be 13. You want to have it your own way again. You know everything. And then you get to be 25 or 30, and you're looking to be connected again with somebody. So to create your own new connection, new family, and you may have a family, may have children. But then when you're 35, 45 years old, somewhere between there, you start feeling a desire to be more independent again. And this back and forth occurs. It's a natural thing. Don't think anything is bad happening. It's not. But you have to deal with it in your relationship. And you've got to have the skills of listening and sharing with each other so that you can do it in a way that minimizes the upsets. Otherwise, you end up getting divorced, which is very common.
So my practice is filled with couples where the wife is around 35 to 40, and she's awakened to her own goals and needs. And it's a big upset for a marriage.
Yeah. I used to teach martial arts, and one of them was I would always joke with my instructor because we would have moms come in for the kids, after school activity and all that, keep them busy so they can get their nails done. But then the moms are like, "Ooh, this is interesting." And it was around the 35 to 40-year-old moms. They suddenly felt empowered. And this is the joke I told my instructor. Yeah, we made money, but that poor husband didn't see it coming with that divorce.
Right. Yeah.
It's very confusing for a relationship. And it doesn't have to end up a bad story. You can weave back your lives back together, but it's a different relationship. And you have to understand what's going on and be able to express yourself. And it actually enriches the relationship when you work through it.
And what we say about relationship is that the value of a romantic relationship is not to have a smooth, even experience of life. That's not the value of it. If you want to have a smooth, even relationship, just keep with yourself and just keep doing what you're doing and don't change anything.
Or get a dog.
Right. Or get a dog. Right.
The dog won't divorce you either.
So in a romantic relationship, what it does, it constantly presses you to grow and develop. You constantly need additional skills, additional vision of what the big picture of life is that keeps changing. And it's like a journey that makes you really grow and develop as a human being, much more than just staying the same. And it's a wonderful experience, but it's not designed to be a smooth, easy ride. And that's why you need us to give you advice as to how to make it more easy. So we have courses and classes that we teach to our audience. We have a series of audio tapes because Dr. Barbara is so busy seeing patients, she can't see any more people than she does. And we want to reach more people. And so we have a series of tapes that are audio tapes that are focused on the 5 challenges to romantic relationship. So there are 5 different sort of things that relate to parenting, relate to sex, relate to money, relate to feeling unimportant, relate to arguing. And these courses are things you do on your own with your partner. And you go through and learn these skills that will then change your life, change your relationship, and really make it easy for you to manage all these natural things that come up in romantic relationship over time.
Interesting. So something you said earlier was the 5-year cycle kind of thing. And
yeah, it's 5 to 10 years. Yeah, it's not exactly 5 years, 5 to 10.
Okay. We'll go with like roughly 8 then for me. But it's kind of interesting that statement you said, the 5 to 10 years or roughly 8. When I notice when a lot of the relationships where you thought it was rock solid kind of shift too. Is there the add into her statement? Is there a part of the quantum thing where something's being misaligned or not being used correctly?
Well, I think the big change for most couples,
okay,
men have a direction in their life earlier. So society tells them they need to find work. Women have this option to have children. And so for women, they wake up to their individuality, their adult individuality later. And that's what is the earthquake in a relationship. They get angry and resentful about all the things that haven't been supportive of them as an individual, retrospectively, things that they've allowed because they were accommodating and nice. And that getting angry is a real bomb in a relationship. It's not productive. It hurts a man. It scatters a woman, and most couples don't understand what's going on, so that it just wreaks a lot of havoc. And there's a transition time for the woman to really define what her interests and purpose is, that she can be creative in her life. And while that's happening, the relationship really suffers. And we articulate those transitions so that couples don't take it personally. They understand what's happening, and they learn behaviors that support the relationship. Women need to take responsibility for how they, haven't spoken up for what they wanted or haven't been heard. And they need to learn to talk properly, because men are far more sensitive than we women understand. We women can talk to each other real directly and no kidding, boldly. But when a woman talks to her man like that, that's not going to work. So there's a whole, behavioral, learning that has to take place. And eventually a woman, comes into her own and feels good about it, and they can recreate their partnership on a whole new level. And that's when the story is a success. We want that for couples, because over lifetime, we don't stay the same. And we want each partner to evolve and become their best selves. And, but it is a big transition that is complicated and needs to be understood properly and responded to properly.
Yes, very true. I was just thinking the hypothetical couple. I know them. I'm just not going to say their names, but they started off great. They loved each other. He got a little too eager and got her pregnant too early in a relationship, and they were still happy for the first 5 years with the kid. But recently, it's been really, really choppy. And I was just curious what your two recommendation would be for them.
Well, you're not giving any specifics about what the choppiness is about.
Business is failing. The kid is being distant. The wife is more angry and standoffish than usual.
Okay. So we have a whole class on parenting.
Okay.
There's a lot of skills you need in parenting. And as the kid is getting older, you need to have both parents being clear about what the rules of the household are. And it's not an easy process. And it's a process that requires both parents to enforce the rules. Children will obey whatever the rules are eventually, if you catch them early. If you wait till they're 13, forget it. Then it's over. You're dealing with a huge, huge, big problem. But when you deal with a 5-year-old, you can create the rules. It's much easier to create the rules when they're 2 and 3, because they don't really remember all the enforcements. But when they're 5, they start remembering. But you create the rules. Both parents have to be totally in agreement to what the rules are, and both enforce the rules. And that's critical to the relationship, for the parents.
Right. So parenting is a partnership project. A lot of women get overwhelmed by the requirements of parenting, and they sacrifice their own interests, because parenting is such a time and emotionally demanding project. And so the more the couple can be involved in parenting, and the woman can negotiate the kind of free time she needs to keep her own self developing, that will serve the relationship, as well as create a consistent framework for the children to grow up and understand what's expected. And it takes a lot of being conscious and conscientious. And I think a lot of couples, ourselves included, by the way, think it's sort of, nature takes care of it. It's automatic, but it isn't automatic. You have to really be conscious of how you do it.
So we have some stories that when our kids were growing up, they would push Barbara around, and, they were stronger and bigger than her. And we went to a program where I learned that I have to be immediately enforcing the rules. And that changed everything for the kids. They didn't like that at all, but they learned that now dad was involved. You push your mother around, you're in big trouble. And here's the consequences. I don't get angry. You never get angry at your children. Getting angry at your children is a waste of time. You never get angry. You just simply say, nevertheless, this is the way it is. That's it. And then you have to enforce it. And you never get angry. And so eventually they learn, oh, it's annoying. That's the consequence. All right. But you're not angry. Once you're angry, then they feel like they have power. You don't want that.
So in our story, my version of it is, that having children was a time period where until we learned, Micheal and I were very disconnected. I was totally absorbed in having children, and I have my own desires for self expression and creativity in my life. And children are just a demanding challenge. And without Michael's help, they occupied my days and nights completely.
And the children love to set the parents off against each other. Well, if the dad is not supporting the mom, they just say, well, I'm gonna go to dad to talk to him about that. And that's like a disaster for the relationship.
And for the couple I'm talking about, that's exactly what's happening. The father is too demanding, actually, and he has a bit of a flash of a temper. He doesn't like rage, but you can tell his eyes flicker like he's going to hurt you. But the mother's so sympathetic, and it's just kind, like,
right.
She's like, she has five boys now she has to feed,
right?
Take care and get to school. And then because she wants more free time, she has to work for his company kind of thing.
Right.
And the company is just consistently losing clients. So yeah, it was just one of those listening. I'm like, yeah, definitely the father side needs to start listening to at least the wife.
It's a group. Yeah. They both have to
work together,
make agreements as to what the rules are of the household, how things are going to work, and they have to agree to enforce it.
And she needs to negotiate the time she needs for her own projects.
Right.
And whether dad helps more or they get help, but they need to think together about what works for the good of everybody in the family. And
we teach the parents, you don't negotiate with the children altogether. If they want to make a new rule up for themselves, that they want to stay out till 11 o'clock at night, and they're right now have to be home at 9 o'clock, and they want more time, the parents have to go into a separate room and they talk with each other, and then they come out and say, well, here's what we decided. And that's it. So you're not able to use one parent against the other in the negotiation, because that's very, very problematic.
Yes. In general, when there's that kind of a disconnect in anything, negotiations, parents, politics, everything, you need everyone on one page. So I'm curious then, we've been talking a lot about parenting. What if, and I know that's a very huge aspect of your relationship, and I'm presuming a part of your book too, first or second one?
It's the parenting is not a big part of our books.
We have a course on parenting.
We have a course.
Okay.
So people can go on agelesslovequiz.com, and then you can see which one of these challenges are the one that affects you the most, and then you can get specific help for that. But in our book, we don't focus on that so much.
Interesting. So then for the actual relationship aspect, I'm still trying to fathom this whole time, the whole particle and wave theory. Can you give me a more simpler version of that?
Sure.
Well, what interested scientists back in the day, in the 40s, was that when a scientist would look through their instruments and look at a wave, as soon as they would look at the wave, it would become a particle. And so the actual act of observing changes the nature of the wave. And what we observed is that in relationships, the way you talk to your partner determines whether they're a wave or a particle. And so we essentially coach. We don't necessarily talk about wave particle theory, but we talk about how to talk to each other in such a way that you are coming from your wave nature, because you have a material existence and you can behave like a wave or a particle. You have a choice.
Right.
And we are coaching about communication represents behaving like a wave, because we believe that's the best way to be heard and the best way to get the optimal response that you want.
So I'm just thinking on myself. I'm very, I like how you said us women are very blunt with each other. I'm like that one dude. If I see it, I say it kind of thing. And I don't have a filter at times. And I'm just thinking, is that me being more confrontational, I guess, or a bad energy when interacting with people?
It's not a bad energy, but and I understand that. I'm from New York. I know how to do that. I do that all the time. But, and, it's a different thing to do that with men. I don't think that's a problem with so much with men, one man to another. But, when you're connecting and creating a romantic bond, it's more ideal to be a wave, to share, to not have so much energy on what you want, because it creates opposition just by the nature of the energy, even if there isn't really total opposition, but you invite, whatever resistance is there to come forward. So, your wave nature is an optimal way of being with other people.
Okay. I'm just trying to pull from my little schemas in my head. Would that be more positive, making them laugh, feel comfortable kind of thing? You're not asserting anything. You're just trying to make sure they're content and happy.
No, I mean, that could be compromising yourself. It's more like sharing. It's more like asking for what works, or asking for information. It's more buoyant. It's not pressured speech, but you certainly can express your honest, self and your true feelings, but it's an unpressured self-expression.
Okay. Now I'm starting to get it. Thank you. Yeah, that makes more sense. So then is that where
I could explain something that will help you understand this. When you can come from your right brain, which sees the big picture, or the left brain, which is very, very specific and particleized. So in animals, every animal has a left and right brain. Originally they didn't have any idea why that was, but now we sort of getting a bigger understanding. So animals use their left brain to analyze, if you're a bird, let's say, is that a seed or is that a rock that you're going to eat? You don't want to eat a rock, but you do want to eat a seed. So you're analyzing the details of what it is, and you're really focused on that. The right brain is focused on what's going on around you. Is there something going on that could be a danger? Some big bird's going to eat you, or some cat's going to eat you, and you're not sure what's around you, but you're looking at the big picture. You're seeing the big picture of whatever's happening. And so being a particle is being in your left brain, where you're trying to analyze the details.
And you're very focused.
Very focused.
And that creates a certain pressure because you have a strong intention. And in a relationship, it creates a pressure that doesn't always give you the results you expect.
And if you're in your right brain, you're open to things. You don't know what's really there. You're inquiring. So it's like, you're not inquiring, is there an animal trying to eat me? But you're inquiring, how is life for you? How does this work for you? How do you see this?
This is what would work for me. I'd really appreciate this. It would make me happy if you could do this. It's just not pressured.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. So this is another relationship I know of. It was almost like they were teetering back and forth on sharing, but they never got to the details. Is that another dynamic that they would need to work on? Like they would be like, oh, I did this. Oh, that's great. Well, I kind of did this too. And they just literally the whole relationship, they're still going. And I'm like, personally, it doesn't feel like it's going to last long, but maybe it's perfect.
Well, so you're not specific enough. So I'll respond to what you're saying, but I'll imagine what you're saying. When you start sharing about your history or your memories, usually there's something important about that memory has a meaning to you. It represents what you want and what you don't want. There's deep reflection in it, and you want to explore the meaning of it so that you can eventually translate it into, how that information might help you define what you want from your partner. And so all of that, it could be purposeful if you follow it through enough. But it's good reflection. When you're with your partner, you are constantly drawing from your relationship history with your family, with your parents, and with your siblings. And those relationships worked in certain ways that are very precious to you, and they also didn't work for you in certain ways that have it feels like old hurts. And you want all that information to come up and be shared with your partner so that you can sort out what you want from each other and what you don't want from each other. And that's one of the riches to be gained from relationship, because you really learn about yourself. And you want to learn about yourself in a sharing way that's not pressured, that's not an angry, upset, but is more of, this is what I realize about myself, and this is what I would really appreciate if you could do for me. And it becomes a great partnership of giving and receiving and healing the past. And it's, that's part of, I think, why marriages are important for the raising of our children and growing strong families, but it's also for the healing and development of our personalities and our characters. And so we want this for all those reasons for our people.
So I want to say you just nailed it, exactly what I was going for. Is that they're talking and it's healthy, but at least an observer, it doesn't seem like they're fixing any of the problems or amending any of the old wounds, at least that I can tell by analyzing them from the side. Right. But maybe they are, and I don't see it.
Well, we actually lead couples into following those conversations to the deepest level and coming to
without arguing about it, just using your right brain and sharing the big picture.
Okay.
It's an art and a skill set that you need to have that information come to some value. And it's not automatic. People, don't have the conscientiousness to know, or the skills to know how to pull the value out of those reflections into present time.
Interesting. So now this is just something that happened to me, but it also might be why I'm a little standoffish. That like dark past I didn't really want to get into. I'm not going to give you the long details of it. Essentially, I was the only white kid on the Mexican campus, and daily I was beaten, bruised, and the principal didn't really do anything about me getting attacked by everyone. And I got very isolated, like a metaphorical armor over my heart. I didn't want to open up to anyone. Would that be something I would need to, in this dance, when I finally find a proper partner, open up about?
Absolutely. I no doubt you have all kinds of layers of distrust and fear and concern about being respected and honored for yourself. And you have to unpack that and have allow your partner a view into your experience, so she knows how to take care of you, right, and how to help you learn, relearn trust, so that you can move forward in your life and grow, your relationship with her and your relationship with future children or friendships, right, community. It's,
and we all have that romantic relationship. We are attracted to a romantic partner because intuitively we know that they can actually heal all that hurt. So one of the things that attracted me to Barbara is that my mother was called the General, and she would order everybody around, and you did what she did, what she said, or else you're in big trouble. I mean, you got screamed at for a half an hour if you didn't do the right thing. And so we were all living in fear of upsetting her. And so I'm attracted to Barbara because she's not like that. She's not screaming and yelling, and she seems to have a softness about her. And I give her the opportunity to heal my issues as a young person. And that's what attracts me to her. And then certain things about me attracts her to me. And that's the way a romantic relationship works. It gives you the opportunity to heal things from your own past. And that's why you're attracted to one person and not another.
Interesting. Okay.
My hunch is that if you were to find a woman that means a lot to you in your life, that it would invite you to a journey of healing and letting go of all that pain and terror from your growing up years.
Yeah. And I think it's just one of those, and I've recently, with reflecting and talking to different people, especially on the show, come to realize, like, yes, my story, little nuances and details, very specific to me, are different, but generally, like you said, the whole 5-year cycle, the on and off of your parents, generally the whole story is pretty much the same. The human experience is pretty consistent. Mm-hmm. And so I'm starting to be like, okay, I had my special little tweaks here and there, but generally the life experience is what it's supposed to be.
Right. There's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how long do I have you two for?
Whatever you say.
Oh, okay. You don't have anyone after this?
Well, you have some commitments.
I'm free till like 1:00.
Perfect. Then let's go for another 15, because I want to, and we started like 15 minutes early anyways.
Sure.
So I'm just curious for I'll say, Barbara mentioned it earlier, is the going to places, especially with COVID. What have you noticed with COVID and the dynamics of relationship and how it shifted, especially in your practice?
Well, I know what I'm aware of is that couples and families have been under the same roof, without relief and it's intensified their relationships. And for some couples, fortunately, they've gotten closer, but most couples, it's become tense, and it's not a natural way to live. And so couples have to reflect on what the experience is and kind of rework their schedules and what they want, and they have to tune up how they talk to each other.
Okay. So it's maybe hypothetical. I'm going a little vague, but like, let's say the husband was more dominant and demanding and the wife was more submissive, but it kind of this dynamic shift. She's just as, or even more assertive as him, and they're clashing kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that's eventually what happens in many relationships. That's not always true. There are a lot of women who are the major wage earners in couples these days.
Yeah, they are.
But there's, in relationships where women are raising the children and men are working, there's an inevitable power struggle where women want an equal voice, for sure.
So, and what we can say with regard to COVID is that in relationships, either the relationship is getting closer and closer because you're spending so much more time together, mm-hmm. or it's created huge problems because you're spending so much time together and you're not used to that. And whatever upsets were there get multiplied. And so you need to have really good relationship skills, speaking skills, sharing skills, in order to have a lot more time together like that. Otherwise, you can just deal with it because there's not that much time together. So that's been a big issue with COVID.
I would also add, do you think this is more of societal than science question? Do you think with the divide of individuality instead of community is causing that problem too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The one thing we haven't talked about is how you can help men and women maintain their chemistry with each other.
Yes. Oh.
That is a big issue as we grow older. So when we're in our young ages, below the ages of 40, hormones are great. You feel energetic, you feel enthusiastic, you're great, but you get older, then things change in your physiology. So that's what I do a lot in my office is take women, it's more dramatic. Women go into menopause and within 6 months or a year, their physiology has changed and they feel really poorly. 90% of the time, they feel really poorly when they go through that process.
And that translates into no sex drive.
And and you're not sleeping good, and you're tired, and you can't exercise anymore, and your moods are up and down.
And you gain weight.
And so that's something that's an easy fix. I do that a lot for women going through menopause. And for men, it's a little slower. They don't have a dramatic change. Every 10 years, it's much, much less, their testosterone levels. And they lose brain clarity, they lose energy, they lose libido, they lose muscle stamina, endurance, and general enthusiasm for life. And then they just want to retire. They just want to just do nothing. You give them testosterone and some other hormones, and they feel great, and I'm 72, and I love being busy. I love being active. I love doing things and have lots of energy for whatever's needed to happen. So that's what I do as a hormone replacement doctor. So that's like a part for people who are getting older, a big part, not for the young people.
I would say if you give that to me, it'd be a totally different story. That's interesting. Yeah. I'm just curious on you, because you mentioned stem cells too.
Yes.
Is that a part of the testosterone treatment too, or is that a little different reason?
It's a little different. We use various growth hormone peptides that are very helpful for youthfulness after the age of 40. But the stem cells and the exosome growth factors from umbilical cord of babies, we used to throw out the umbilical cord. Now we save it for the growth factors. That will repair all kinds of issues, but it's usually focused issues. You can inject it anywhere into the body, and it will repair and rejuvenate whatever has been injured in a dramatic way when seemingly nothing else will work. You repair like you're 20 years old instead of like you're 40, 60, 80. And sometimes even you're 20 years old. I had one lady who had cancer of her knee. They replaced her knee, and she had multiple surgeries, and she couldn't walk. For 2 years, she couldn't walk. Came to see me. 2 treatments later, she's walking, running, doing great. Pain is just about gone. She was in terrible pain. So that's what the growth factors can do. That's like repairing. And it works for sexual dysfunction. 50% of men by the age of 50 have erectile dysfunction, and 70% by the time you're 70. And we can reverse this 90% of the time with these growth factors. And it's just dramatic. And it's very important. We didn't talk about the most important factor in longevity after the age of 50 is not your cholesterol, is not your diet, is not whether you're exercising and your weight. It's the quality of your personal relationships. That's what the research shows. So it's not just a nice thing to have a good relationship as you're growing older. It is critical to your longevity.
Well, and it's important for a couple to keep their sexual connection. And it's good to be able to be active. If you can avoid surgeries and stay active and do what you love, it creates a full life and a joyous life.
And a long life, a life that really works in terms of longevity.
That's good. So I'm just curious then, you say you two dance. Is that one of the many things you do to keep your relationship going, like spicy and all that?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It was my idea, and Michael was, willing to try it because he was, he was playing softball and he was one of the oldest guys on the team.
I started the team, and then they kind of sort of retired me at 61 because I couldn't run fast anymore, And
he couldn't slide into first base like he used to. So,
right.
So he took up the project of dancing with me. We've been dancing for maybe 12 years.
So I moved this into just taking lessons to competing. So I love to compete. That's what softball is about, Mm-hmm. So we compete in dancing, and it's very intense. And
we go all around the country, and we are in competitions, and it forces us to keep improving.
And Barbara loves it because she gets to wear these beautiful gowns, and she looks like she's a princess and all that.
And I love music, and to dance to music is a dream come true.
Yeah. But every relationship has to find the things that you love doing together. It's nice to have some kind of a hobby or process, something that you love doing together, whatever it is.
So would for some, maybe the wife likes gardening, but the man doesn't. So he
Well, it's a
he
separate
he
project.
joins, kind of thing.
That would be a separate project. You're going to find maybe they like to do tennis, maybe like swimming, maybe they like hiking, maybe they like.
We have one of our children. She and her husband do Aikido together, martial arts.
Nice. That's a good system. Very good system. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Just curious, how long have they been doing that?
Maybe
Quite a while.
15 years.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Have they achieved black belt yet?
I've never asked
Well,
them.
they actually don't have belts in Aikido. They actually are teaching.
Oh, I might be thinking of a different system completely then.
Aikido is Japanese.
Yeah.
And they actually run a dojo.
They actually run the center now.
Good for them.
Yeah,
That's very good.
They're in Fort Collins, Colorado. Yeah, they have a lot of fun doing that. They enjoy that.
That's fun. No, that's good to hear that they're doing that. So let's say maybe the couple I'm thinking of, they don't like dancing. Would going on cruises together and planning a cruise also count?
Sure.
Whatever is the desires of the couple. It's a very, unique inquiry. What makes you both connect and be happy, enjoy?
Okay. Huh. I would say my poor brain's sitting here like, you don't have that connection yet. Why are you asking these questions?
Well, see in the future what you enjoy. We would both encourage you to find those things that you love doing that give you a sense of accomplishment, and you'll naturally meet people who are enjoying that too, whatever it is. If you like going on cruises, if you like bicycling, if you like painting, if you like,
you want to meet people where you share interests.
Yeah, but you have to have an interest to share an interest.
Very true. Honestly, this has been an absolute honor and a blast. I mean, so one of you I know has something going on at one. My brain's going way too fast on the left side. I got 3 going out questions for you.
Okay.
First one, other than work, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during these COVID lockdown times?
Other than work?
Yes.
Well,
I've been a rebel. We've been dancing at our studio ongoingly. We've been traveling and meeting with the people we care about and doing programs, and we've been working. We wrote a book during this period.
Oh yeah, we wrote that Ageless Love book. That was a huge project.
That was.
Yeah. And so we've been very, very busy. And so now, after COVID, we're able to go to more of the dance competitions. They didn't have them for 2 years, really. But we still practiced. Mm-hmm. So we still maintained the physical exercise. And that's what we've been doing.
That's awesome. So it's kind of been this whole episode, but for someone that's inspired to be like you two, a wonderful couple, successful, everything, a family, what are some tips, tricks, or advice you give them to start down a similar path?
Well, you want to start really talking to each other about how you'd like to see your life grow, what elements might be missing that could enrich you both, and identify the time you want to spend together so that your life isn't just about responsibilities, because responsibilities can take over a whole 24 hours if you let it. And you want to allow yourself to unfold the dreams you have for your life so that they come true, and you support each other doing that.
And I would urge your listeners to take some actual action steps to learn from people who will mentor you in skills. So what we teach in our classes is skills. And so we're not teaching philosophy, we're teaching skills where you're learning to share and be together in a couple relationship. And that's real critical. So the agelesslove.com quiz would be the first place I would start, and that will lead you to other places and things that we do together. And it'll really inspire your couples to move forward with relationship with it, and the intimacy that's required for longevity.
Awesome. So then you kind of just alluded to at the end, where can everyone contact you or get to your stuff?
Yeah. I think the agelesslovequiz.com is the best place to start. It's real fun and easy. It takes 5 or 7 minutes to take the quiz, and then it will lead you to all these different opportunities. And yeah, that would be a great thing to do.
And for your longevity?
For my longevity, if you want to get into all those anti-aging things, you can go to the ocwellness.com. That's my medical website, and that will take you to all kinds of options. And now with COVID, people can start things anywhere in the United States. You don't have to be in California. So anybody can go there and contact the office, and we can guide you through being youthful for, your whole 150 years of living.
I was just going to ask that because I saw an article. It was how humans are expected now to go to 150. Do you guys see that being possible within the next few lifetimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's going to happen for people who are like even, healthy 70-year-olds now. They're going to live much, much longer than their parents. And I do see it happening. There's so much new things with the stem cells and exosomes and the hormones. It's just such a huge area to stay well. And so,
there's also new guidance on how to eat and supplements to take and how to take care of yourselves.
Yes. And I read, but I can't confirm it, if it was legit or just a flash in the pan, is there's potential for certain cures for cancers too coming on the horizon.
Well, there's a lot of cures that have happened. It used to be if you had melanoma, you died within a year or two, and now half the people are cured with the new cancer treatment. So there's a lot of breakthroughs in cancer treatments that are happening, and they're happening more and more. So yeah, that's a little bit of the time. I don't know about a total cure for all cancers, but it's happening a lot.
Definitely, yeah. I'm very hopeful. I try to be as optimistic as possible. And I'm pretty hopeful for all of us. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you both on.
Thank you. And we wish you all good things.
Yeah, we wish you.
Let us know when you meet the lady of your dreams.
Yeah.
I will.
Then you can take some of our classes and courses. Good.
Yes. Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.